What's up everyone? And I know a lot of you have been waiting for this video, for me to make this video for quite some time since I really noticed, or since I really purchased these shoes during the holiday season. And I figure I'm gonna do an initial review. Now, just a reminder, this is not my full review of this particular shoe. I usually do a full review at 50 miles. I have not done 50 miles in this shoe yet. I've only done a few miles in this shoe just to kind of get a feel for how this shoe is kind of out of the box. So it's an initial review. I'll let you know how it feels comparing it maybe to some other shoes, but it's really just a, how does it look? How does it feel? How does it lace up? So on and so forth, right out of the box. And so let's get into it. And this is on the Asics Novablast. And for one thing, you're probably looking at the shoe and going, man, the color scheme on it. I actually like the color scheme. I don't know why. I like all the different colors on here. I love this kind of fuchsia pink color back here. The very bright yellow green here, the blue laces, the blue underfoot there. I mean, it is just, to me, it's a really cool looking shoe. It really is. It's one of my favorite, just as far as the way that it looks, it's one of my favorite shoes. So I'm going to dive right into this shoe and just really get into it. This shoe is considered a daily trainer, much like what you would get out of, say, the Pegasus 37, or even say the Float Ride Energy 3.0s that I've done a review on. And the only reason why I haven't done a review on this particular shoe is because there's so many people out there that rave about this shoe that I didn't really want to bombard you guys with a video that you could pretty much get from somewhere else. But I'm going to do this because I'm brutally honest, and as an average runner, it's something that I think a lot of people need to hear. So there are a lot of things that I really do like about this shoe. And if I'm comparing this, the only thing I can really compare it to is the Nike Pegasus 37, because it kind of puts itself in the same category. It's a very multifaceted shoe that you can use for all different sorts of runs. You can use it for slow, easy runs. You can use it for faster pace runs, tempo days, 5Ks, 10Ks. You name it, it's just a multifaceted shoe, and that's where this shoe kind of fits into play. But we're going to go into the upper, how it feels, midsole, and how it feels, and then we'll go to this outsole and how it works and how it feels. So the upper here is using this engineered mesh upper that is actually pretty breathable. And again, I don't really want to do this as a comparison video, so we're just going to leave it as that. It's actually a pretty breathable toe box here, although I do have to say that I don't really have a narrow foot, but I don't really have a wide foot, and it's almost difficult for me to find a shoe that almost fits right in between. So the Pegasus 37 feel a bit narrow in the toe box. This shoe actually feels a bit wide in the toe box, almost like it probably could have gone a half size down in this shoe. That being said, it still feels fine. I'm not used to having that wide space to it. The only shoe that I really feel fits absolutely perfect to my foot is the Float Ride Energy 3.0. That one just fits perfect. It's like the perfect toe box for my feet. But that being said, this is still a very comfortable toe box. I do like the fact that it does give you some room for your toes to kind of splay out and move around a little bit. It also gives a little bit of room that if you're, as you're running and your feet start to swell up a little bit, it definitely does give you some room in the toe box for that. So that is a huge, it's kind of a positive, kind of a negative, depending on how you look at it. It doesn't feel sloppy. It doesn't feel like your foot's twisting or moving around in there. It just didn't feel like it was my toes were locked down the way that it could be. But changing the lacing and stuff like that, or figuring out a way to lace this could probably prevent that. But that being said, I still enjoyed the first few miles that I've done in this particular shoe. The tongue in here is I don't think this is it is not. It is not a gusseted tongue, which is kind of a surprise. I didn't really notice that when I threw it on. And I think that's a good thing because for a shoe that does not have a gusseted tongue to it, it feels like a shoe that has a gusseted tongue. The lockdown is really good over the top of your foot. They did a lot with the lace chain here, the eyelet chain. It does lock down really well to the top of my foot. Never had any issues where it felt like my foot was moving around or the shoe was kind of twisting off or whatever. It just felt really good. I really enjoyed it. The heel collar area, not a whole lot of padding, very similar to the Pegasus 37 as far as the padding is concerned. So it's not overly padded, but it's got just enough padding there. The heel cup area, I think, is really nice. My foot locked down into that really well. I didn't have any problem with my heel wanting to lift up out of the shoe. It just felt really, really good as far as its lockdown is concerned. Just didn't have any issues as far as movement is concerned. It just felt really comfortable over the top of my foot. Is it the most comfortable upper that I've ever used? No, because that goes to the Saucony Triumph 17. Like, that is the most comfortable upper I have ever used. That being said, that shoe is, like, summertime is probably gonna suck. This shoe is definitely more breathable. It's also lighter. But we're not doing comparisons. We're looking at this. It does have a pretty stout heel counter here. So little bit of stability right here in that heel area, which I think is a good thing. It definitely feels good on your foot. Let me just go with that. You know, the foot bedding in here feels really good. The upper feels really good. I know there's other YouTubers that have complained about like this area right around your Achilles tendon kind of rubbing up against your Achilles and causing blisters. Again, I haven't taken this out on a lot of runs, but I never had that issue. Maybe that's because my socks actually lift up a little bit higher than where this is at, so I never had that rubbing issue. But I didn't have a problem with that. It actually felt fine to me. There's no issues. So that being said, the upper I think is really good. The tongue is nicely padded, not overly padded, but nicely padded. It just, you know, it's a really nice upper. I wouldn't say it's anything where I'm going to write home about it and say, oh my gosh, this is the best upper that I've ever used, but it's definitely not the worst. It does a really, really good job. Asics did a really good job with this upper on here. The midsole uses Flight Foam Blast, which is a super soft, super springy midsole. It offers a lot of energy return. 10 millimeter drop. It's 22 millimeter in the forefoot, 32 millimeter in the rear for a 10 millimeter drop, which is pretty standard for just about most daily trainer type of shoes, which is, I think, perfect. No issues there. The stack height, even though it's really good, it's got a really nice wide forefoot to it, which is, like, I think is really good. But because of that really high stack height in the heel and the way that they've designed this heel with all these little extras cut out here and kind of, you can see where it kind of notches inside here. There's a couple of again, YouTubers that I've heard say that they felt this shoe was unstable, particularly for maybe taller or bigger runners. Now I'm 200 and just over 200 pounds. They were between 200 and 215, and I'm 5'11". So I am a heavier runner. I won't say I'm a tall runner, but I am a bit of a heavier runner. I didn't feel like this was unstable. I really didn't. And maybe it's because I've got a lot of, strength training in my legs. Maybe that's why, is because, I've focused a lot on stability and whatnot. I didn't feel unstable in this shoe. But I'm also a little bit more of that midfoot to forefoot striker. So I'm landing more in this area and forward than I am heel striking. So I could see if like you're a heel striker and you land, that this, like the initial impact could be a little shaky. where if you're more of a forefoot, because of that wide landing pad, it doesn't really have that much movement side to side like you would get out of the heel area. So I didn't have that instability issue with the shoe, but I know a lot of other people that have. That being said, the midsole is really awesome. I mean, it is definitely something that you could do a long run with. You can do easy days. You can do tempo days. You can do all sorts of running with the shoe. You can pick up the pace because it definitely has a lot of bounce to this midsole. I really, really do like it, and I would like to see Asics put this midsole into other shoes. In particular, I think this would really work well in like an Evo ride, maybe a glide ride, maybe just a thin layer of it or something. That maybe they have for the Evo ride 2 and the glide ride 2, but I definitely see this working on like some other shoes in their lineup. It really is a fantastic midsole. It just has a lot of bounce, a lot of absorption into energy return, just a lot of bounce to it. I really enjoy this midsole. It's fantastic. So no real special stuff. It doesn't have any gel, or it doesn't have any like airbags or anything like that. It's literally just this Flight Foam Blast midsole, which is, like I said, it's fantastic. I really enjoy running. I really enjoyed that run in this shoe for the few miles that I did run in. The outsole, as you can see, got a pretty decent amount of exposed foam here, but you can see this little right here kind of gives you that trampoline effect. So it's almost like this little ball, and you feel that when you're actually running. You'll feel it in your forefoot, that it's kind of like this little ball, like a little trampoline right here in your forefoot that gives you that extra bounce as you're pushing off. And you do feel it. It does feel really good. That being said, even down here with this decoupled groove right here, it's nice and deep and in the right area, so when you land, it expands and gives you that bounce off as well. It does have this Asics AHAR, which is the Asics High Abrasion Rubber, all throughout here. And even though I've only done just that few miles on this, it really doesn't really show much of any wear on here at all within the first initial run. That being said, it was only a few miles. It wasn't like a 10 or 15 mile run. It all on pavement. That's all I ever run is on pavement, by the way. I don't do any trails or any of that stuff. That being said, looking at this is definitely a pavement shoe. I would not recommend using this particular tread pattern on any type of trail or off-road. It just doesn't seem like it would have that grip that you would need in loose gravel scenarios. Even on wet pavement, I don't know how this would do on wet pavement, just because of the way that the tread design is. I don't know if I would use this particular shoe on wet days, but definitely dry days, pavement, it's going to be a go-to shoe. So the outsole, I can see this lasting a long time. I would compare it, as far as longevity is concerned, to that of what you would get out of a Pegasus, which is a really good long-lasting shoe. But fit-wise, it's really comfortable. I mean, just getting your foot in the shoe, it's not a really plush, fantastic upper, but it's definitely not a terrible upper either. It locks your foot down really well, and it locks it down in relative comfort. It just feels really good. The midsole, that Flight Foam midsole, is a fantastic midsole. It's so squishy, so much bounce to it. I mean, just look at that. Like, that is awesome. Even in the forefoot area, that is just awesome. I love it. So that midsole is just amazing. That AHAR rubber that's underneath it definitely seems pretty durable. So honestly, what would I use this shoe for? Who is it good for? Daily trainer. Just a really solid daily trainer shoe where you're looking for something that has a pretty good amount of absorption, a little bit of softness to it, but a nice bounce and a nice energy return. That's really where this shoe fits in. I would use this, again, daily trainer. I would use it for 5Ks. I'd use it for 10Ks. I'd probably even use it for a half marathon if you really wanted to. Definitely I wouldn't say it's going to win you any races, but it'll get you there in comfort. I think that's where this shoe really shines. And I don't want to say, I would definitely recommend this if you're somebody that has really good stability. Let me just throw that out there, because I can see where people would feel like it's an unstable shoe, especially with that high stack height and the very narrow rear end to this thing. I could see where it would be unstable, so you really need to make sure that your leg muscles, your ankle muscles are strong, and you're really good with your stability, because I can see where there could be some issues there. But overall, I really like this shoe. I can't wait to get it to 50 miles, but it's still going to be a while because I have some other shoes that I've been working on. So it was just kind of an initial run just to get a feel for what it's like. If I had to compare it, it definitely goes in that same category with the Pegasus 37 and the Float Ride Energy 3.0s. It definitely fits right in with that. That being said, I think $129 for this shoe. I didn't pay that for it, but $129 for this shoe. You figure $119 for the Pegasus, so about $10 less for the Pegasus 37. Is it worth the $10 more? I guess we'll have to do a review video or a comparison video between the two of them. Because then we also got to throw in the Energies. And those are $100. So this is $30 more than the Energies, $10 more than the Pegasus. Guess I'm going to have to do a comparison video. So anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. As always, enjoy the run.